Hey there, I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate.
And today we're taking a look at Picture Perfect by Arcane Wonders.
Picture Perfect is a game in which you play as a photographer trying to take the best, most perfect picture. And you have several different people in your picture. You even have a dog, you have some plants, you might have some decorations, and you're trying to make sure to get everybody in their perfect spot, meeting their different requests. You'll get so many points for meeting each person's requests, and you'll lose points if you don't meet those requests. Let's take a look at it, how it plays down below. Then we'll come back and share our thoughts on this as a gamer and non-gamer.
All right, here's Picture Perfect. Let me show you guys how this one works. In this game, you are going to be a photographer trying to take a perfect picture of these guests and their different arrangement that meets the requirements of what they are wanting in this picture. You are going to receive a player shield here that has a beautiful scenery of either a countryside, or perhaps a beach, or it might be a bar, or perhaps it is a ballroom, an elegant ballroom. And your playing surface here is a mat that is going to be double-sided, as well as this table here. This table is either going to come in this variety, or you are going to receive the one with the brown taupe tablecloth on it. And you have cobblestone on one side of this mat, and on the other side is hardwood floors. You're going to make sure that this arrow points towards you and your table sits here in the big rectangle, and you're going to be placing these different characters in the spaces surrounding the table. And your orientation is always facing you. In fact, at the end of the game, you are actually going to use your phone to take a picture to simulate this being that you are taking the picture right here from this angle. And so that's very important. I'll come back to why that's the case here in just a minute. You're going to have all of these cards that have different requirements or different requests of the different guests, and you're going to shuffle this up, and you're going to put 3 apiece into each envelope, and every character has an envelope in this game, and you're going to shuffle those envelopes up, and you're going to give us a number to each player, and the leftover ones are going to be in the center of the playing surface, so, sort of similar to Clue or other mystery deduction games. Now, when you have your envelopes at the beginning of a round, you're going to be able to look at the cards inside of each of these envelopes. However, there are specific rules how you have to do this. You can only look at one envelope at a time, and once you've looked at all of the cards in that envelope, you have to put them back in before you go on to the next one, and you are not allowed to look at that envelope again until the next round. So for instance, I open this envelope first and I take a look at what's inside. So I'll go ahead and do that. The first card, again, there's going to be 3 cards in each envelope. The first card tells me that that character wants to stand on the right side of the table. So I find their player piece, and real quick while I'm on this, you can see here that I have the upgraded acrylic pieces that are see-through. Very nice here. The pieces that you receive in the retail version, those are going to be cardboard punch-outs. So again, I will place this guy on the right side. I'll go ahead and just put him right there. I go on to my next card, and it says that he wants to stand in the 3rd row. So I know I don't want him to be right there. I want him to be in the 3rd row on the right side. And then I go ahead and look at the last card. It says that he wants to stand next to this person. Now, if it just happened to be that this card ended up in this particular character's envelope, then you would just read this part here that says, or be this guest, which is kind of like getting a free point just by luck. And so I'll find that particular character, which he is right here, and I'll go ahead and place him right here. Now, here's the catch with this game. At the end of the game, I'm going to score points for each person that I have placed out here on the mat. If I don't place them on the mat and I leave them here on the side, I'm not going to score anything for that person. So I would score points for both of these people, even though I do not know what his requests are at this point in time, and I may never know them before the game ends. I'm still going to score him because I've put him out here. So back to our cards here. I know that he wants to stand on the right side. I know that he wants to stand in the 3rd row, and I know that he wants to stand next to that particular character. Now, I know I've fulfilled all of his requests, and how this is going to score me points at the end of the game is if I get all 3 correct at the end of the game, I'm going to get 6 points. If I only get 2 correct, I'm going to get 3 points. If I only get 1, I'm only going to get 1 point. If I happen to get none, and they're out here on the playing surface, I'm going to get -3 points. Now, I do have a VIP card that I can use at any point in the game, and I keep this outside of my playing screen so that the other players know whether I've used this or not. Now, in an advanced game, I will put this behind the playing screen so that people won't know that if I use it or not. How this works is when I put my cards back in the envelope, I can stick my VIP card in there with it to indicate that this is the person that I am going to be scoring, and not just me, all the players are going to score that particular character twice. And if another player puts their VIP card in this same envelope, then we're going to score it 3 times, so on and so forth if more players do that. And so that's how that's going to work. I would go on to my other envelopes, looking at the cards there, and oh, lo and behold, I do have that character in my hand. I would look at his cards, and now I have to make a choice as to whether I want to leave him there because I remember he wants to be next to him, or do I go off of these cards? Perhaps that gives me more points. That's where this game gets tricky. Now, after I've looked at all of my envelopes, again, I cannot go back through them. I then go to the events deck. And so in the events deck, you're going to have events for 2-player games, and you're going to have events for 3 to 4-player games. And there's going to be 2 different types of event cards. You're going to have your regular event cards that are going to have you passing the envelopes around or taking envelopes from the middle. It's a way to shake up the information in this game. And then you're going to have your advanced variant. These are the auctions that are going to be taking place. And so in an advanced game, you're going to deal 3 of these and 3 of these and shuffle that deck together to create a 6-card event deck. In a regular game, you're just going to use all 6 of these regular events. There's going to be 6 rounds in every game. And so you flip over one of these cards. How the auctions work: you are going to be using these decoration pieces out here kind of as a currency, and you're going to be betting so many of these, trying to win the auction to get envelopes, additional information so that you can win. However, again, these are like currency, and so when you spend them, they're gone, and it goes to the player who is the first player that round who's holding the auction. So they're going to be getting an increase of decorations that they can use later on. And that's going to happen after every turn. So here's our turn order card right here. You're going to look at the cards. You're going to reveal the exchange deck and read it out loud. All players are going to follow those directions. And then you're going to pass the reference card to the next player. And that's what these event cards are going to do. Again, passing information. Then you go on to the next round, and that's when you can look at your envelopes again. So you are going to be able to get back to these envelopes and the information that's in them eventually, but it's only at the beginning of every round, and you're getting more and more envelopes to look at. You're passing envelopes on to the other player, so you are not being able to look at every envelope that you've ever looked at throughout the course of the game. You're going to have to remember. At the end of the game, again, you score for anybody that's on your mat having taken a picture. And the reason that's important is because certain people want to be hidden behind other people so that their face is not visible. And if you don't put the correct person, say for instance, this little kid right here, who doesn't block anyone because he's so small, then that's going to affect whether or not you're actually blocking that person. So the size of the person does matter in this game. Anyhow, that's how you play. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on Picture Perfect.
And we're back, and now you're going to see some gameplay footage between Sam and I, gamer and non-gamer's perspective. So Sam, this is a game that definitely has some table presence. You know, you've got a 3D element to it. It actually looks like a picture scene that you know, somebody is trying to put people in the right arrangement to take a picture. Looks really cool in my opinion. What were your first impressions when you see it on the table?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the presence of this game. it kind of looks like a toy. It's little dolls, and you're setting it up very much like a dollhouse.
Okay.
And I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I first came into contact with this game at Gen Con this last September. Seeing it out on demo tables, it was definitely a head turner. You walk past this, you see it, and it definitely turns your head, and you want to know more about it. And so this is going to be that game that if you get it out on the table, the people that come over for your game night are going to look at it and think, whoa, what is that? And want to sit down and know more about this game. So, Sam, let me ask you, as you got into the game and you understood what was going on with it, how was that for you as a non-gamer?
This game is irritating.
Oh, what do you mean?
It's fun, but there is no possible way to get all of your cards, to get all to do all the requests, and that is maybe irritating is not the word, frustrating.
Okay.
You can't do it.
Okay.
And so you have to. I think at the beginning you try, obviously.
Yeah.
But then you're adding more people and more requests, and at a certain point you're like, well, screw this person. They're just not going to get what they want, and you hope that you chose the right person, and then by not making the request of that 1, 2, 3 people, that you can fulfill all the requests of the other ones.
Yeah.
And that might not be everybody's strategy, but that's kind of where my mind was. But it's very frustrating when you get to that point where you're like, I can't, not possible. I can't do it.
Now, I do understand what you mean there. It can be one of those games where if you're somebody who is a perfectionist, or if you feel like I've got to go for all, or, I want all or nothing.
And that's me.
This is going to be that game where you get into that tight spot where either you can't remember what the different scoring requirements were for a certain person, and you just kind of throw your hands up in the air and you're like, forget it, I give up on that person. Or you just realize you can't satisfy everyone's needs. It's kind of like life in some ways, in that you can't make everybody happy. And maybe there's a lesson to be learned in this game about that.
This is just one of those games that you have to play. You cannot explain this game well enough. It's so unique that I think you have to play it. And you get, this is maybe not Lanston feel this way, but you get connected to certain people and you're like, well, I want this person to get what they want because it was the first person on my board and I don't like how this person looks, so I don't care what they get.
You form attachments with these people and you want to make them happy because that obviously is how you win the game.
Yeah.
But like we've said, you can't make everyone happy, and it's a little difficult having to come to terms with having to not literally say, but to say to this person, I'm sorry, I'm not going to meet your demands, and I'm putting all my eggs in the bratty girl making the funny face. I'm putting all my eggs in that basket.
Yeah.
Or the dog, or whatever the case may be. And you mentioned earlier, you just kind of have to hope that that's the right one to go with. And one maybe con that I'll say with this is that with imperfect information games, and that's what this is, you get some information, but you're making decisions based off of imperfect information. You don't see the whole picture, pun intended maybe. And so you may be making a good choice, you may not be making a good choice. And for some people, you can roll with that, and for others, that's a game breaker.
Yeah.
And you do have that with this game, in that, if you're somebody who just does not do well with saying, well, I didn't know enough to make a good decision, so this game's broken or this game's bad, you're going to have that sort of experience. You may not say those words, but you're going to have that experience that is not enjoyable for you. For someone like me, on the other hand, I kind of enjoy that experience. I kind of enjoy saying, well, I'm going to make the best choice off of what I know now and see if I can't improve on that choice or rectify some of the bad about that if I start to learn I made a bad choice.
Yeah.
Before the game ends.
It kind of has it's not a mystery game, but
it's deduction.
Yeah, kind of like Clue or 13 Dead End Drive or something like that. Like it just has that type of
vibe to it.
You're just kind of waiting to the end to see if you did the right thing.
Yeah, for sure. the way I've kind of explained this to some people who have not played it is that if you've done those math tests maybe you did in school that were A wants to be next to B, but B doesn't want to be next to C, but C wants to be next to A. How do you put and if you were somebody that could conceptualize that and did well with that, you'll love this game.
I loved those word puzzles in school, so I definitely see that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, some of the people I've explained that to have said, "Oh, that sounds awful. I don't want anything to do with that." I would still say, try this game out.
It's just so unique.
It is so unique. It's a different kind of game. And for some people, I think when it connects with them, they're really going to enjoy it. They're really going to love it. For others, it might not be such a great experience. So this is going to be one of those love to hate kind of games. Perfect for our channel. So let's get into pros and cons, Sam. For you as a non-gamer, what were the things that you loved about Picture Perfect?
I just liked how interesting it was. I liked the little people and moving them and setting it up, and it didn't feel like a board game, it's just so different than all these other games that we have, and I like that. I like the novelty of it.
Yes, novelty is a great word for it.
And it was easy to understand as well. I mean, it's a very simple to understand game, but also a brain burner and frustrating, and I think it just brings a lot for a gamer and a non-gamer.
Okay. It's brain burning in the sense of having to keep track of everything. Yeah. It's not so much strategic, and there is no strategy in this game. It is all about trying to remember and trying to put people where you think you're going to get the best points for them and making the right choice with imperfect information.
And I think for a non-gamer, it could be really frustrating in a negative way. I'm using frustrating as a, just intensity of the game. But I think a non-gamer could see it as so frustrating that they don't really enjoy it as much because you cannot do everything that your cards ask of you. So I'll throw that out there.
At the same time, though, and I do want to say this real quick, I see this as maybe being a game that can work really well with somebody who doesn't typically like playing games. Because for me, this is so unique of a game, it's almost not even like a game, if that makes sense. Because you're not rolling dice, you're not playing cards, you're not making turns that benefit you 3 turns from now. This is all, you have the information, you place things where you feel like they need to go, you pass the card, you get a new card. You do the same thing. But you're needing to try to remember what was that card and how do I play it off of this card. That's so different than most any other game that I see this as maybe being that type of game, and I say that with quotes because it's so different from most games.
Well, I think
that they might like it.
I think too, going back to, it's like Clue. With Clue, you kind of try to hold on to at least one card to make sure nobody else ever sees that. And this is kind of the same way. I think if I remember right, there's that one person that I was like, if I can hold on to this card, then for sure he will not get that information and will get it wrong.
Yeah, there's definitely the strategy as far as that goes.
There's some deception.
Yeah, you can hold back information just like you can in those deduction mystery type games.
Yeah.
And you keep it to where you are the only person who gets that information. Now, some event cards will cause you to have to give up some information, but if you're lucky, you can keep back something, at least one thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely that in this game. So let's get into our scores. Scale of 1 to 10, love to hate. What do you give this game that seems to range from love to hate?
I really enjoyed it, and I would love to play this game with more people or just play it again. I'd give it an 8.0.
Wow. Very good rating for you on this one, huh?
Yeah.
For me, this is such a hard game for me to rate. I feel like playing with 2 people was just okay. I felt like there wasn't enough of the interaction with the cards and passing the information around in a 2-player game. I felt some of the events were a little weak, and the events are what caused that mixing up of the information and causing the game to start to, build up. 3, 4 players, you have more of that. So if I'm playing with 3 and 4 players, this is a fantastic experience. If I'm playing with just 2 people, it's just okay. And so with that being the case, I'm probably at a 7.6, I think, is where I'm going to land on this one. So I would really want to play this with 3, even 4 players would be better. Yeah. And like we've said, it's an awesome game to see out on the table.
Yeah.
It's a very unique game. So that is Picture Perfect from Arcane Wonders. Go check it out.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.